If you're in a relationship with someone who talks too much, this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing some scripts on what to say when you're dealing with people who talk too much. But first, my name's Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. So people who talk too much can be very challenging. But here's what you have to do first. You have to go in with a plan, okay? You can't do this on the fly because without a plan, you're most likely going to either fall into frustration and silence, and I don't want that for you. So this video is going to help you create your plan because you're going to know what to say and what to do to take care of yourself. So the first thing is you got to get over the hump of speaking up, okay? Because with people who talk too much, you're going to most likely have to interrupt them, okay? And I know for a lot of us that's really uncomfortable because so many people say to me, but they don't let me chime in. They don't give me any room to talk. Well, that's why you got to cut in and say, I'm sorry, excuse me, I got to interrupt you here. I need to say something, okay? You have to be willing to say, excuse me, maybe wave your hand nicely, but you have to get their attention because if you're not willing to be a little bit uncomfortable and interrupt, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself with these people. Now, if it's so bad that even after several attempts at doing it, then you know that, you know what, most likely that person is really not somebody you're going to be able to stay in close contact with, okay? Most people, even people who talk too much, will get some sense of your boundary at some point if you speak up, but you can't just speak up once. So the next thing I want you to do, you have to give yourself permission to interrupt them or else you're gonna stay stuck. You're gonna get frustrated, you're gonna fall back into silence, and I don't want that for you. So let's talk about what can you say when people are talking too much. So the first thing you could do is when you're with these people, go first. Be the first one to start talking. That can be one way to deal with them and just say, hey, instead of asking them how they are, right? Because that's the hook that's going to get them talking. Say, hey, it's so nice to see you. Let me tell you what's happening with me lately. I know this is going to feel foreign because most people start with, hi, how are you? But if you're not in a reciprocal relationship where they can listen, then you're going to need to take your turn first, okay? That can really be one way to take care of yourself. The next thing is let them know there's a time limit. You can say, hey, you know what? I have about 20 minutes to talk, so why don't I start first and then I'd love to hear how you're doing. And then boom, launch into whatever you want to chat about. Even if it's something you don't care about, the practice is to change the habit, okay? It's not, at first, this is going to feel awkward. You're going to feel like this is no fun. But I want you to get into the habit of taking your turn because that's what we need to teach people who talk too much is that other people need a turn too. So what do you say if they interrupt you? Well, here's some ideas. First, I would say, hey, listen, I wasn't finished talking. Can I continue? And what I would do is I would say that more than once if you need to. It's called the broken record technique. And it's basically coming up with certain statements that you say 2 to 3 times calmly to get the other person's attention. And oftentimes this will work with someone who tends to violate boundaries by talking too much. The next thing you can say is, hey, you know what? Can we slow this conversation down? Because I just need a minute. And again, if they keep talking, hey, excuse me, I really need us to slow down a minute. I'd really appreciate it. Let's just take a breath because I really want to hear what you have to say, but I also want to make sure that I can go and take my turn too. Because the more you describe this behavior in a neutral way, the more likely they're going to be able to hear you. The other thing you could say, and this is with someone that is probably a little bit closer to you, you can take a risk and say, you know, I noticed that when we chat, I don't talk that much, and I'd really like to change that. Can we do that? So you're owning it for yourself because what I don't want you to do is to say, you know, I notice that you talk all the time and I can't get a word in edgewise. Most likely that's not going to go well because they're going to feel hurt and judged and then you're down the rabbit hole. So instead, make it about you. I notice that I'm not really able to talk much about myself in these conversations and I really want to change that because you mean a lot to me, okay? Now, if you're really close, if this is someone you're married to or are really close with, then you can really bring it up as a topic, saying something like, hey, is this a good time to talk? Because I really notice that when we get together, you do most of the talking and I do most of the listening. And I realize I want to change that. I want to change being able to volunteer some stuff in my life so that I feel like you hear what's happening with me too. Do you notice how I did that? I didn't make them wrong or bad. I brought it to me and what I need and what I could change in myself, not trying to change them, because you're not going to get the compulsive talker to stop talking. But what we want is we want to see if we can create a pause or a breath where you can speak up for yourself and let them know how this is impacting you. And again, if this is a lady from church that you aren't emotionally invested in, you're not going to do that with her. But a close friend, a close family member that you really want to stay connected with, those are the people I would absolutely say, hey, can we talk? I really want to work this out because I notice I'm having an issue here. And again, if this doesn't work and they still can't hear you, then that's when you absolutely have to pull back your expectations and realize that this relationship is going to be very limited emotionally based on their inability to listen. But what most people do is they give up too soon because they don't want to interrupt. They don't want to be rude, right? But it's not rude if that's the only choice you have. Because if someone keeps compulsively talking, you really have to either start off the conversation so you're not interrupting and let them know what you want, or you may have to break in. And again, that isn't rude. It's just part of what we have to do to take care of ourselves so that we don't end up super furious and resentful. So if you need help evaluating this relationship, I have my relationship checklists, and it's going to help you evaluate the relationship and really, is it working for you, and where is it working, and where could it improve, and what's your own relationship behavior like? All right, thanks so much for watching.